Hey there, YouTube. Welcome on back to Artichoke Dip. My name is Rob, solo tabletop gamer. And it's been a minute. It's been a while since I have sat down and made a video, taken a hiatus from it. And it's good. I had to. I really had to. One of the reasons why is so much gaming stuff. There's so much out there, and inundated with so much, and in the market we're in today, everything is buy, and I had to take a break from that. Really had to evaluate what I had, what I enjoy, and try to get away from the reviews and doing things like that. I know people like review videos, but one of the issues I ran into is you get this game, I review it, and I sit down and I actually start to, play it more and more, and you realize I really don't like this. This just isn't my cup of tea. Not that it's not a good game, it's just not what I really like. So I had to do an evaluation. I had to go through that side of the hobby and really reconnect, for me, what drew me to the hobby and what made it so enjoyable. Now, with that being said, it doesn't mean I have given up on gaming. Far from it. Been doing a lot with gaming, a lot with miniature painting and learning some new skills, picking up the skill of airbrushing and learning how that could make miniature painting so much more enjoyable, quicker, more efficient, and I could get more done in a shorter amount of time, which is great, and I loved it, and still do love it. So I decided on this video, I'm going to focus on, because I haven't made this much this year, just really haven't, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, it's been time constraints. I've been busy at work. I've been hammering out a lot of overtime, and nothing wrong with that. I'll tell you what, nice thing is I'm just banking them funds, and that's the way to do it. And when it comes time to buy a game system, I'm really enjoyed, and I'm not so much pressured by the sticker shock of things. I can just pull the trigger on it and go forward with it, which is what I have been doing. And yeah, it's been good. It's great to be able to reconnect with you guys and talk with you guys again, and talk about all the things that are changing out there in the gaming world, and how from when I started this channel there was barely anything out there solitaire or solo. That was laughed at, that was absurd, to today where just about everything coming out has a solitaire variant to it to make it more enjoyable. And there's a couple game systems I want to talk about and get caught up. Talk about a few game systems that I have played throughout the year that surprisingly I have found to enjoy a lot. And there's a lot to be said about keeping stuff simple. The more simplistic it is, the more you actually get out of it. And the more overcomplicated things are, on the surface they look good and they look appealing, and it has these great promises, but then when you get into it, you find you just get lost in the clunkiness of the rules and different variants and cross-checking and things like that actually take away from gameplay and don't improve it whatsoever, which at the end of the day leads you to come to the conclusion, is this a really good game, or is the packaging just really pretty and the pieces I got look really nice, but besides that there's not a whole lot else to it. So let's dive into this video and let's jump on into it and see what I'm talking about. Now, this year I have played a lot of RPGs, and surprisingly enough, some of them that I have found to be my absolute favorite, breaking out of my norms of classic D&D and those classic settings such as Temple of Elemental Evil and Ravenloft that I love a lot, and kind of shedding those off. And it has nothing to do with the whole entire Wizards of the Coast debacle and, you know, all the stuff that we heard. Even I voiced my opinion on it about basically them trying to pull the rug out from underneath everybody else. But, you know, that is what it is. That's, at this point, ancient history, in my opinion, and the way things move in gaming circles, you know, that is ancient history. I know some people are still talking about it. Some people, I see the videos all the time, the clickbait, you know, their Hasbro's, you know, doing a nosedive over here, this is falling off, that's falling off, it's the end of the world. But realistically, people, this is what happens in the gaming hobby. And the thing about the gaming hobby, or the entertainment industry as a whole, is it's a really, really good barometer to gauge where the overall economy is at. Because, well, truth be known, first thing, when an economy starts to go downhill, the first thing you're going to see dry up is entertainment and stuff like hobbies. People just don't have that extra money to throw at it. And the only ones that are left are the scragglers like myself, and I'm sure many others out there. When I'll bring up and I'll give a shout out to is Don, the solo RPG guy. I know he the same way that I am with RPGs. You know, you can always find a little bit more room on the shelf to fit one more RPG book. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about some of the games that I've really enjoyed. I have found that have been very versatile. Excellent for solitaire experience. I've had a lot of fun with them, and I actually brings me back to the table and wants me to play even more, rather than some other clunkier systems out there that are a little bit harder to get things off the ground and moving. The first one I want to talk about, and this is an older game, this has been out for a very long time, and I mean, it's an ENnie award winner, and I have to admit, when I first got this game, it was so basic. The writing was of it, and the final editing of it, to the way it's presented to us, seemed so dark and taboo that there was a lot of people out there that almost shied away from it. But it wasn't until you actually realized this is the setting, and reading more about it, and they're right, absolutely right, with this game I'm talking about, is Mörk Borg. Put in the old 80s metal playlist and let it play, and sit down and play some of this, and it's actually very enjoyable. Mörk Borg, the thing I like about it is the simplicity of the mechanic system. It's a very, I'm going to say, I wouldn't even put it in the realm of 5e, 4e, any of those. It's a D20 system unto itself. If I had to sum it up into a D&D reference for people to understand, because I get it, that's still the most largely published and played RPG out there today that people have a reference point to, I would say it's a matchup between 1e, or basic, and 3rd with the D20 mechanic system on it. But the simplicity of the rules is what makes everything so freaking enjoyable. With one target number to remember, 12 across the board for everything. And the fact that it can be so unforgiving and unrelentless gives it that very spontaneous feel to it that keeps it interesting for me. These are my opinions. Now, I have picked up other supplements they have sold. I actually sat down, wrote up a campaign as to which I played through. I completed it. I finished it. And the nice thing is when it finished, you know, I had that grin that, you know, yeah, that was cool. I want to do that again. I want to play that again. And then I realized, wait a minute. I should design the next one. Move on. What's the next chapter for my characters? My characters survived this in Mörk Borg, and now they're going to move on to the next chapter of the story. And where are we going to go from there? Oddly enough, being a solo tabletop RPG player, it's one thing I have found that I have been lacking. I have gotten so lazy on that it took away from the RPG experience, which is what I mean getting back to the basics of things. And that was prepping. Prepping for the games, putting that work into it, and stop relying so heavily on randomized tables like I did to be able to run the game, and more and less, more prep beforehand, and using them randomized tables like salt and pepper, just going over the game to season it to make it perfect. And when need be, bring in that randomized table, bring in that randomized element to throw in there to change things up a bit, to keep it interesting and keep it unpredictable. And I find Borg is one of them game systems that I really do enjoy, and I have played a lot of. Now, Free League Publishing, I have to say, is my favorite new publisher. Free League Publishing and Morpheus. Let me see if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Some of these other publishers out here, their names are a bit modifus. Modifus. Ah, what the hell? I'm done with it. Which is one I have just recently picked up. I just got this in last night. I have not actually gone through this yet, but I anticipate everything about this to be just as good as everything else I have seen come from them that I own. So you know what? That would be a good thing for a video all unto itself. Actually going through this and playing it. And the thing I like about their setup, what I expect to see out of that, not 100% sure, but like Rangers of Shadow Deep, to where they explain the scenario to you, they lay out the map, and it's up to you to either, what I enjoy personally, create the scatter terrain and make the three-dimensional battlefield to play out the scenario. And I'm hoping this is no different, and this is going to be a bleed on, if you will, from that, because it is from the Borderlands, so I can only imagine to expect a whole lot of similarities, and hoping it's going to take that original set, Rangers from Shadow Deep, and just open it up and make it more vast, if you will. And we'll see. I'm just speculating on that. I have not even cracked the book yet, because I've been into something completely different, which I'm going to get into here in a moment. That's great for solitaire play. So the other thing that has been keeping me very busy, and I've been finding I have been going back into it. Now, this ain't going to be surprising to a lot of you people out there. I enjoy classic D&D. I really do. When it comes to all the editions of D&D, I do like them, in spite of recent changes that they have made to 5e, to which I don't agree with. So I just decided I'm no longer going to purchase any of them products that I don't agree with, and focus on the ones that I really do enjoy and use those a lot more often. But one excellent system out there that, if you enjoy classic RPG fundamentals and that old school play versus what we see now, over complexity put into an RPG, and I have said this before in other videos, the tabletop industry is trying to compete with the electronic gaming industry, so they're trying to put them complexities into it to make it more complex for the gamers, to keep them interested, which in my opinion is not a good idea, because let's face it, when it comes to tabletop, you want things to move quickly and spontaneously, and you just want to keep that rhythm going. Whereas if you play electronic gaming, that's already done for you. It's already built into it, with the soundtracks they run in the background, to the visuals and everything else, and the dialogues in it, to keep you entertained and keep you wanting to achieve that next goalpost to be able to see where the story progresses to from there. But if you like old school gaming, Swords and Wizardry, I love this game. Absolutely love it. To the point I boxed up all my basic D&D stuff. I don't even open it anymore, and I just leave that stuff boxed up and in plastic and where it really should be, because the books are getting pretty worn out at this point. But this gives me the best of both worlds, where I can use the system and I can pull my older stuff off the shelf that I've had through the years and be able to play it right with this book. The compatibility from the Ascending AC to the more modern D20 system, AC system, makes it so simple, and I love it. But in conjunction with this, I saw something that I picked up that really caught my eye, and looking at it made a lot of sense to me. And for a solo RPG player, it's good. It would be good for any edition of any D&D or any fantasy RPG system out there, as a matter of fact. And that's called the Valarian Chronicles. Now, this is a sandbox RPG campaign module, which is exactly what it says. It's not a standalone game system. Now, it was written with the mindset and to be run very smooth with 5e. As it explains in here, and I got to agree with it, currently, right now, what is out there that is the most widely spread, publicated, and distributed RPG system in the world right now. D&D, hands down. People may not like to hear that, people may disagree with that, but, well, facts are facts, and honestly, it is. So it makes sense that they would make this very simplistic for 5e players to pick up and just jump right into. But the beauty of it, the way it's written, it can be adapted to any RPG system, which is what I like, and I have currently been using with Swords and Wizardry, which is very cool. I have started the first chapter, if you want to look at it in the campaign module, and how simplistic and well written it actually is, because it's not going to connect with everybody. That's the thing. If you are used to a very well structured campaign module where you pick it up, all your encounters are there, all your story points are there, everything is laid out for you. The only thing you got to do is just go through the emotions, roll the dice, and go to the next step. You're going to find that this, you're probably going to feel very alienated in. And the reason why is it's written as just a sandbox open campaign module. Gives you just enough information to be able to bring the area to the play table, but not enough information to where you are restricted, to where it leaves it up to you to be able to add the rest to it and be able to flesh that world out the way that you see fit, which I really enjoy. I really do. I was surprised when I picked this up, and I was I quickly realized, reading the reviews on it, when I was looking at it on Amazon, these people were like, oh, it's horrible, it doesn't make any sense, I'm lost, blah, blah, blah. And then when I picked it up and I was looking through it, playing the older D&D modules in a way, I'm going to use Forgotten Realms, where they have the Cyclopedia of the Realms, and you go through there, it's just giving you the cliff notes of everything you can expect to see, population, so on and so forth. It gives you enough information to be able to create your own campaign or an adventure out of it, but it does not really limit you. Everything else is left up to you, your NPCs and everything else that go into it. Now, the cool thing about the Valarian Chronicles is, yes, it does have key NPCs in there with different chapters as you go through them, but nothing is set in stone. Everything can be rearranged and made tailored fit to the campaign you are playing or you want to use, or the pieces of it that you may want to take out and export into your own game that may fit better than what you are currently playing. It's just all up to you. And I find it's a breath of fresh air. It's very vast, but yet very simplistic at the same time, allowing my imagination to flourish and really enjoying the game sessions as I go through it without feeling like I am overburdened to where, and I'm going to say this, I'm not going to pick on D&D here. I'm not, because this isn't D&D. This is all of the game manufacturers that they're going towards this these days, where the days of old where you used to be able to buy a game system and get the complete game system, it was left up to you to fill in all the blanks. Now everything is about the next supplement. The next supplement, buy this and buy that, and if you get this, then you can, that's what I'm talking about by the feeling overwhelmed as a gamer these days with the way this has been marketed to us, which I have to admit, has made me a more, I'm going to say, cautious gamer when it comes to purchasing now than I was in, years past, to where I would see a really cool cover and I'd be like, yeah, let's try it out and get it and figure out, I don't really like the game. Where now, yeah, I'm a little bit more self-reserved. I'm more limited. And it's not even just RPGs, it's other books out there that I see as well, the how-to books and this and that and the other thing. I'm going to stress, and I will, as long as this channel is around and it's on YouTube and people are still watching it. When it comes to solo RPG playing, the rules do not matter. We'll say miniatures. If you decide to use miniatures and just not straight theater of the mind, doesn't matter whether you have cardboard standees, whether you have 3D printed, whether you have resin molded, whether they're painted, unpainted, scattered terrain, all this, everything else that goes into this hobby. At the end of the day, the most important thing is if you had fun. That's it. If you have not had fun, or if a supplemental guide or a how-to guide has not delivered 100% on its promise and fulfilled that, it has failed, and it has failed you. And that is the key. That is the key to this hobby and everything, is having fun. Having fun, that sense of accomplishment, whether you complete a long campaign module, or in my case, you get done with a huge painting project. But at the end of the day, that sense of accomplishment is what really matters in this hobby. It was pretty long. You know what? I need some Mountain Dew after that. By the way, I'm filming this on Christmas, so Merry Christmas to all of you out there. I forgot to bring that up. It's kind of late in the afternoon, and it's been, well, it doesn't feel like Christmas. I will just tell you that much. We are hitting almost near record temperatures here, which I'm not complaining about. It's beautiful outside, and I know some people want a white Christmas, but me, I'm like, I'll take a mild Christmas any day of the year. And any year, I should say. Any day of the year. That didn't make much sense. Anyways, they're a joke. So, next game system I've been playing, because I've been talking about RPGs up to this point. These are older ones. And if you think I haven't been playing with other editions of D&D, I have. Or Dragonbane, or Forbidden Lands, or the multitude of my other RPGs. I do. These are just the ones I have been really enjoying so far this year, and going through them and noticing, as I said, I'm going to re-emphasize this, the simplicity behind them is which makes them so fun and enjoyable. But with that being said, let's switch up gears a little bit. Let's talk about board games, because as you can see behind me, just as much as I love my RPGs, I love my board games too. And when you find that fine tuned mixture of RPG elements with a board game replayability, and you have that magic, that's hard to find. But I got 2 board games that I have played through this year. I have really enjoyed, found myself coming back to them, and it might be one you may want to look into. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about, which is relatively inexpensive. I was really surprised. I seen this on an early Black Friday deal. I decided to pick it up. This is made by Lucky Duck Games, and this is called Destinies. Now, if you're not familiar with Destinies, Destinies is a very unique system, because this is just the game components which you get in here. The actual game is driven by an app. And I know what you might be saying, well, wait a minute, it's electronic. Yes and no. The unique thing about the app is that it takes into account, it knows exactly where every single, let's open it up, let's pop it up and take a look so you can see what I am talking about here. So the game system is played on a map, which is no big surprise, which you get a decent stack of double-sided tiles. As you can see, one side is what you call a fog of war. The other side, everything is revealed in color. So the app takes this into account, and to keep replayability, every time you sit down, even playing the same scenario over and over again, it knows every single one of these map tiles. And after you have played through that, it remembers those map tiles you have used, and it pulls new ones to keep it new every single time. So it will tell you how to lay the map out, in which sequence the cards should be laid out. And as you play through, it will give you them story points to play through. One second here, I'm noticing there's minis out of... And these things are small, man. These minis that they give you, when I got these, I said, well, maybe I'll paint them, but let's just take a quick comparison of minis. So if we look at a traditional 28mm 1-inch mini, which I think we're all used to seeing for a model on the game board, and you place it next to the minis that they give you, you will be able to see it's considerably smaller. So these are ones, come on, focus. Let's see if I can get that into focus. Yeah, it's not going to do it too well. It's so small. But yeah, I probably won't be painting these anytime soon, but we'll see. There is one cool piece out of it, and I know I got off the beaten track, but there is one mini I will absolutely paint when I get around to it, and it's the main, looks like end boss of this system. It is very cool. I love it, and I'll probably enjoy painting this quite a bit, and I'll probably get to that before too long. I'm so far behind in minis, but I'm getting caught up with the airbrush, which is good. Okay, I got off the beaten track. So every time you go into this app, it will regenerate the map for you and give you a new map every single time, which gives you a lot of replayability, which means chances of you actually playing this, even solitaire, and coming across the second map twice are so astronomical that it's really, it's staggering to think about. Now, the game itself is actually pretty simplistic. You go through, you pick out basically a template of the character you would like to play, and they outline these. They give you your cards to be able to select them. And as you can see, the cool thing about this is you will notice each one of these cards has a QR box on the bottom. So as you go through, the object of the game is you're trying to fulfill your destiny, which is why the game is called Destinies. So at certain points, NPCs that you encounter, you'll have to ask about your destiny, and it's going to give you clues to other areas on the map to which you have to go and investigate. And of course, you're going to run into encounters and battles. And the cool thing I'd like is it's all driven by a dice mechanic, which is very simplistic, and gives you your D6, which they're not true D6s, but it's driven by a D6 dice mechanic. And as you still have that element, even though it's app driven, of the dice, not knowing the final outcome and how it's going to, whether you win or you lose, basically. So you still have that element, you still have that physical element in front of you. You're still throwing dice, you're moving tokens, you're moving pieces about the board. So the game board is here in front of you. The character sheet is very template character sheet that you use, very simple. And you have the app, which just constantly regenerates new scenarios in the maps and keeping it fresh. So unlike a lot of other game systems we've seen, to where you go through the scenario, you know the map, you go to the next one and you play that map, but you get to the end of the book, you've played all of them. So you already cognitively have in your mind a good rough layout of the maps, how it's going to go. When it comes to replayability, it helps you sharpen your strategies to be able to conquer them foes quicker. Whereas with a game like this, you're not going to get that. Every time you go through, you're wandering through a different map every single time. So you're taken out of your comfort zone and you're thrown into an unknown world, which is very, very interesting. The stories are interesting as you go along. The NPCs and the way that they throw them in there, I have to admit, I was very surprised when I saw this game and I picked it up. When I saw it was an app game, I didn't know what to think. I was very apprehensive, and to be honest with you, I was expecting to really hate this game, is what I was expecting. But once I got into it and I actually played it, I was just completely surprised. I was just 100% enamored by how well designed this game is. The fact that it's the perfect balance of, pardon me here, I'm just putting this back, just how well balanced it is with the game components that you have in front of you, rolling physical dice, everything we've come to expect from the tabletop gaming hobby to, well, the fact that it's such a wonderful blend between the app telling the story, generating everything. There we go. That was going to drive me nuts if I didn't get that done. All right. Let me get this boarded up then. There we go. So it really surprised me how well balanced it really is between a board game feel, having all the board game components in front of you, actually rolling the dice, and putting your successes into the app to where it's going to adjust the outcome of this scenario. And it was just very well balanced. It did not feel whatsoever like I, at any given time, like I was playing a video game. It was just a tabletop game, and it almost felt like I had a game master there explaining the world to me in an RPG sense. But the cool thing is even though the games can tend to run pretty long. Conservatively, I will say if you play this solitaire, they're going to tell you 45 minutes to 120, I believe it is. Let me take a look at the box. They don't say it. Some of these games will give you a guesstimated playtime that you can expect to get through each scenario. This one doesn't do that, but I'm going to tell you, if you play the solitaire, you can expect in the neighborhood of anywhere between 3 to 4 hours per campaign. If you're playing through it and you're actually going through it, hitting all the clue points, talking to the NPCs, getting all the pertinent information. And then like any other RPG that you play, you're going to know once you open up the map, there's going to be a lot of backtracking you're going to have to do. So there's going to be a lot of areas where you're going to explore it. There's going to be stuff there that you're not going to be able to access, only to find out later in the story you have to return. And you're going to have to fulfill a small quest or something for an NPC, whether it's an item that they're looking to acquire or whatever else, to be able to get what your character needs to progress to that next chapter in the story, like a lot of great RPGs are. This one's no different. And the cool thing is, you can leave that game board alone. You can leave all of those markers on the map as to what is where. You can walk away for a couple of days. You can come back. You can punch on that app, hit resume play, and it will reload that map, remembering where everything is, every NPC you talk to, everything, and literally pick up right where you left off until you finish it. I love it. It's to the point that he even picked up the expansion while it's still in print, because we know how board games go. Some of them stick around for quite a long time, and you're able to get them. Some of them, they're really cool. They come out for a very limited amount of time to where you can get them, and then that's it. The printing press, so to speak, is shut down, and the only way you can access it is paying extremely inflated high collector prices on a site like eBay to be able to get them. And that's if you get a complete game. So, with that being said, I have to say that's one of my more favorite ones that I have played. Now, one I have been watching for a while now. It's been very expensive, and I've just been waiting. The Black Friday sales, when I saw this one, I decided, no, it's a perfect price. It's at the right price, what I'm willing to pay. And I decided to pull the trigger on it and get it. And that is, of course, this one right here, Bard's Song. So if you are unfamiliar with what Bard's Song is, it's a board game, but yet it's like an RPG. It's based in 5e, but yet it's still a board game, but yet it's a miniature game, but yet it's a lot more. With over 100 campaigns they call them campaigns, each chapter in the storybook that you get. This is the introductory set, and they make a lot of expansions with it. You know, it guarantees you, if you're playing with 5 people, 100 hours of gameplay to complete it. If you're playing solitaire, of course that's going to take a little bit longer because you are doing everything. But the cool thing is, it's designed with solo in mind, so even a single player can enjoy it. Not only that, the miniatures are out of this freaking world. I had a ball just painting these guys up, designing them. I know the camera is not doing this any justice. It's a little out of focus. Creating the heroes, because when you get everything, these guys, which I don't understand why, I'll show you a picture of the way everything comes initially, and they are the ugliest yellow you will ever see. You know, when you open up your set, that's what you're looking at. They're all that color. Everything else is gray. I had a problem with this. set up the first scenario, put the miniatures out, sat down, everything's gray. I'm looking at everything and I said, this ain't gonna work. This will not work for me. It just will not. Which prompted me to get into airbrushing. Glad I did, because it gave me the enjoyment of painting up what looks like to be the end boss for this system, which is this guy right here. And I thoroughly enjoyed painting this thing. Have to admit, this is probably about 5 pounds of resin right here. Well worth it. I mean, if you were just to buy a mini this big in a gaming shop, you're probably looking conservatively about, I would say, $40 on the low end. And the fact that I was able to pick this system up, now, it's a fun system. It really is. If you're looking for a system to bridge that gap, you want to scratch that itch of a classic dungeon crawling RPG. You want it in a little bit more of a modern arena, like 5e rules, but you just don't want to go off the deep end of a full RPG. But you still want them elements. Bard Song is an excellent game system for that. The thing that I love about it, the thing that is so amazing, is the fact that just like another game that I have that I play, Dungeon Saga, which I loved with the dungeon generator, and you see it in this game system, is the fact that they randomize the corridors and your rooms, which is cool. So you could sit down and theoretically go through every single, what they call, campaign module, or campaign. I call it a chapter. That's what they are. They're chapters. Like, here's the next one I'm getting ready to begin, chapter 4, Halls of the Dead. In playing through that, I could go back and play it again at a later date, but the map is going to be different. Even the number of encounters, because depending on the card, the way it's drawn, and the way that the card is laid out, if you look, you'll see a lot of what looks like ruins on there. That's more than art decoration. What actually that's telling you is exactly where the encounters go on this tile when the tile comes into play. Some restrictions depending if you're playing with 5 people or you're playing solitaire. It's also going to depict that in there as well. The other cool thing is when you get to the character, let me just grab a character. Even when you get to the character template, and when they start out with a very entry level, we'll say, weapon and piece of armor, and they even have all their stats, which you can see right here, which you're going to be extremely familiar with if you play any type of RPG. I love doing this stuff backwards. So this is going to be your strength, this one's going to be your dexterity, this is going to represent your constitution, all the way over here this is going to be your wisdom, this is going to be your intelligence, and this is going to represent your charisma. So as you can see, it's very very familiar to what you would expect to, I would say, out of any D20 system RPG you're playing today. You're going to see them statistics. And of course, as you move through the game and you gain experience, you can advance those, advance your skills, advance your weapons and other things, which therein too is very RPG. I love that, because it gives you that drive to want to get through that chapter, to finish that chapter, to get that XP, to update this, and then you're off to the next one, into the uncertainty of what the dungeon holds. But I have to say, it's a very cool game system. Now, it took me a while to get through the miniature painting. Even though I'm using an airbrush, there were quite a few miniatures that this game system came with. Here is one pack. It's going to be a bit like show and tell. Here is the other pack, as you can see, with the minis that I painted. Yeah, I got the plastic on them, so you're going to be pretty hard pressed to see all of them. I'll pop a couple out, put them in front of the camera so you can see. They're great miniatures. They're highly detailed, so if you're into mini painting, you will love these. Absolutely. With the amount of detail that they do put into each sculpt, which made them very fun to paint. All the way down to, now these are the smaller minis you're going to find in this set. The larger ones are over here. This is a pretty sizable game system with some rather decent amount of miniatures, which can double out for any RPG system that you're playing that's fantasy. From your giant spiders, as you can see, to your rust monsters, which if you're not familiar with those, rust monsters are horrible, especially to armor and or weapons. All the way down to, well, they call it a gelatinous cube, but you can figure that one out. Many, many more in here to what they call their hooked, I know is a hooked horror. They have a different name for theirs here, but nevertheless, it's all the same to me, if you ask me. Many, many more. And just some really, really cool sculpts that will, even when you're done with the game system, you could sit down and play this, even with the randomized corridors and dungeon cards, and just have a lot of fun with this. Now, of course, like any game system, of course they offer a multitude of expansions. You know, it's like any other thing we see today, pay to play. How much money do you really want to put into it? How much do you really want to play? And for me, I have to admit, put away momentarily, it feels more, if I would have to compare this one with Gloomhaven, I would have to say I actually enjoyed this one more so than I do Gloomhaven, for the fact that this is a dice driven system off a D20 system and not a playing card system. Now, that's not to take away from Gloomhaven. Don't get me wrong. Gloomhaven is a great game unto itself for what it is, and it's a great fantasy dungeon crawler, whereas a Bardsong is too, but Bardsong has that great old school D20 feel to it. You're throwing dice, you're moving minis, you're going through this dungeon. There's a level of uncertainty to it, and just the overall art of the game and the way that it's set up is just absolutely wonderful. It is just absolutely wonderful. There is a bit of a learning curve to the maps when you come to this game, because the cool thing is the way they set the maps out into the nodes, as you can see, they give you a reference book to go back to, which it looks complicated right now, and I can completely understand that. But after you go through it, you realize it's got its reference, and its bark is worse than its bite, and it's actually a very interesting game, and it flows nicely. And the art only is setting it up like this. I think a lot of people would think, well, why not just show a map and you just set the map up like any other game? Well, you really can't, because they're just giving you the nodes, the series of the way that in the story the dungeon was mapped out and interpreted. In the map your characters currently have now is what they're looking for. A rough sketch of, yeah, I went through it, this is kind of what I remember it was like in this many rooms in this area, but good luck. There you go. So as you draw them random corridor and dungeon cards and you lay it out and you put the tiles out, a whole brand new floor of dungeon will emerge in front of you and for your characters to go through. And the fact that it doesn't, unlike some other very simplistic miniature games, which I enjoy. I'm going to tell you, I have them over here, play them all the time. The D&D series, Legend of Drizzt, Wrath of Ashkelon, Castle Ravenloft, and the Temple of Element Evil. Great board games, great tiles, great minis, all those things. Even that game, even though you're rolling a 20, you're just rolling a single 20, and the game is fun, but it's far too over simplistic compared to what Bardsong has to offer. And Bardsong picks that up and adds that extra level of complexity of an RPG system to a board game that makes it feel like an RPG-like game. And really does. I love them games. I really do. I really love those games that can really blur the lines between RPG board game and you're somewhere in, you know, the mists right there as to where it lies. And it really scratches that itch of both when you want to play a board game and you don't want to go totally into an RPG game, but you don't want to be just completely bored game. You want something a little out of the norm, I'll say. And games like this really, really do hit it out of the park when it comes to that, and just makes it very enjoyable. So, yeah, that's I think I've talked your ear off long enough. You know, that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing with my time. I know, I've said in previous videos, you know, I'm on like a normal YouTuber. I know some people strive to make a living off of this. Others, like myself, this is just a hobby thing that I do in my spare time, and just to kind of document and reach out to like-minded other people out there in the world that enjoy these games and these hobbies like I do, and to be able to get the word out there to people, to show them, hey, there's a world out there that you may be unaware of. There's a lot of cool stuff. Just because you've watched a really cool, we'll say, trilogy, like whether it be Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or any other you can think of, DC Universe, Marvel Universe, anything like that, or you've read a great fantasy novel and you sit there thinking, wow, wouldn't it be cool if that story could continue? Wouldn't it be cool if there was more character development? Wouldn't it be cool if, and there is a whole world there in gaming, in tabletop gaming, to be able to explore it and help you do that. And that's the reason why I do this channel. That's really what it is. That, and I've met very cool people through this channel that I've had the opportunity to be able to talk with and connect with, which is very cool. I mean, those are some of the highlights of it. That's, the best things I can admit about it. And so I've seen a few comments where people are like, thanks for all you did and blah 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 blah. I think they thought that I just went to the wayside, that the channel went dark and the channel was gone. No, not at all. I'm going to go a while without making videos. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm not, I would rather make a good video rather than make a video every day just to make a video. That to me would just be disingenuous, and it's, I'm not here trying to sell you anything. I'm just here giving you my perspective and my thoughts on these game systems, and just trying to reach out to like-minded people like myself that, may have the same perspective, thoughts, and feelings on them that I do, and be able to, how do we put this? Know that you're not alone in the universe, if you will. Which, give me a break. I know I'm not alone. I mean, this stuff I am surrounded by billion-dollar enterprises of, publishing companies here. I'm just, you look behind me, and some of these names are just so iconic. D&D and Lord of the Rings, and one of the more recent ones I have that's just a classic that has been brought into the United States and released, Dragonbane, which is excellent. If you have not tried that yet, I strongly urge that you do, because that is a very good game system. It's one of I got that, and when I got it new, I played it, and then kind of caught myself in that same old trap again, to where I had too many RPGs going at once, and I had to scale back and really focus on one or two. Say it's either this and or that. And yeah, but anyways, that's a video for a different time, for a different thing. So I just wanted to reach out to all you guys and wish you a Merry Christmas. Let you know I'm still alive, I'm still kicking, I'm still here, I'm still gaming, I'm still doing everything I do, whether I'm on camera or off. It doesn't matter. I'm one of those people, what you see is what you get, and if you don't like it, well, bye-bye. And so anyways, my friends, hope you enjoyed the video. If you like gaming content, don't forget, click the like. We live in a day and age, when I first heard this, and at first I thought this was all to help YouTube, and I was reluctant to pass it on. But then I have noticed it doesn't matter what you do now, because everything is so heavily driven by AI in the backgrounds. But yeah, if you like gaming content, and it doesn't even have to be mine, it could be the solo RPG guy, what's the other one I heard of, Borg Offline, I believe it is. He does great 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 gaming content. That was a little bit of a tongue twister, and my mouth's getting a little dry. What's a few others that I've seen out there? Rolling Solo, there's another one. Geek Gamers, she's another one that does her channel. Anyways, the point I'm trying to get at, it doesn't matter what you watch. If you like this gaming content and you'd like that, click the like button. Because what it's going to do is it's going to trigger them AI algorithms to say, oh yeah, you like that video? Yeah, well look, we got 30 more over here that are kind of similar to this, but it's all gaming. There you go. And it's going to open up more doors and possibilities, and maybe get you some information that you're lacking, you want to learn, or whatever. I can't answer why you're sitting here listening to this talking head right now, but I appreciate it all the end. So with that being said, my friends, game on. And this is Artichoke Dip, signing off.